respected friends who have assembled in this wonderful Indian Institute of Science campus, and the very respected Tejaswini Anand Kumar Madam, who was kind enough to be the guest of honor in this wonderful function, and all the members who are behind this organization to make it happen, Tatarayaji, Pradeepa Madam, Karnakarji, and all the people who have come, and they're making sure to take this concept of one nation, one election across the length and breadth of our country, today in the state of Karnataka in Bangalore. Friends, Madam has given a very beautiful opening about the ethos of our country and who we are as a nation and the goal, the long-term goals that we have by 2047 to achieve a certain status in the world. And one nation, one election, you must have heard about it, read about it, because it is coming in television channel. Political parties support it, voice their opinion. There is a parliamentary committee now, headed by Mr. P.P. Chowdhury Saab, who is going around the country seeking opinions. Last week, the former Chief Justice of our country, Chandrachudji, and before him, the Chief Justice, they appeared before the parliamentary panel giving their opinion whether one nation, one election is violative of the basic structure of our constituency. So everywhere we are seeing the debate and discussion that is happening. So this is a good forum. We present in a formal gathering to share our thoughts, our thinking about one nation, one election, where we are now or where we should go. And do we really believe one nation, one election is the way to go forward? We will make an attempt to present certain viewpoints before you and try and convince you why one nation, one election is the way to go forward, so that we as a country, we realize our developmental goals in the next 20 years. Friends, if you look at the world as a common humanity, China with about 140 to 141 crore doesn't have a formal election mechanism. It's a Communist Party of China which governs it, and people get selected at a certain provincial level. They claim all the way to the Standing Committee, Politburo. Finally, the General Secretary of the Communist Party of China becomes the President of the People's Republic of China, PRC. So China has taken a path where there is no election. If you look at from 1979 to 2025, which is about 46 years, China has achieved a double-digit growth in 23 out of 46 years. No country in the world, India till now, we have been achieved a double-digit growth. We never grew at 10%, 11%, 12%. China has grown at 23 times in the last 46 years. That is one model. No election, nothing. It's a single party Becca. If you look at some of the countries, some of the most developed countries in the world, if you take European Union, which is right now a block of 22 countries, which we call EU 22 now because of 22 nations there, because UK is not a part of EU anymore. If you look at it, we see new kind of political parties coming into prominence, getting large vote share. The recently concluded Germany, a party like AFD, which is the new party, which got 20% vote share. They campaigned on different themes, which many people might not agree also. Including Latin America, we are seeing anti-establishment people who want to break the country, throw the constitution away, who want to bring radical change, fire 1/3 of government people. In Latin American countries, some presidents have won the election saying, if you give me charge day one, I will fire 50% of bureaucrats. They won the election. In US, if you look at the Donald Trump now, they came with a model called Doge model. The moment we come in, we will ask bureaucrats to resign. This will happen, that will happen. Before them, people storm the Capitol Hill. They want to go and capture it. We are seeing in advanced democratic countries also, maybe democracy is not functioning that well. Democracy is in decline. So overall, if you look at a paper like Foreign Affairs magazine, then say across the world, democracies are in decline because the voting percentage is coming down. The youth are no more interested in standing in a queue, exercising their franchise and getting somebody elected, because they believe democracy by its nature is slow. By its nature is very consultative. They take everybody's opinion, and it is not meeting the aspiration of youth, the general feedback of the modern day democracy now. So India is possibly the only country among all this, from China to US to European Union to Latin America, where we are showing the world democracy is functioning. Not only is the democracy functioning, the youths are participating in larger numbers. In the recently concluded elections, 90 crore people, 900 million, 90 crore people were part of a democratic tradition of voting in 2024. In states like Andhra Pradesh, which went for polling in 2024 Lok Sabha time, the polling percentage was as high as 81%, which is unbelievable in any part of the world. We are not a developed nation, we are a developing nation. So we are proving with a resilient democracy that the country can grow, people can participate in large numbers, at the same time development can happen. Now, we also have to have reforms. Because we are very clear we have to grow fast. We are very clear to make the democracy better. Democracy is always a process of making ourselves better. When the founders of our constitution are led by Baba Sahib, Dr. Ambedkar ji, and all the great people who are part of the drafting process, R.D. Krishnaswamy Iyengar ji, a lot of great people who are there, B.N. Sapru ji, and all were very clear that they have to give us the constitution that is a living document, not some paper. For example, UK doesn't have a paper itself. UK doesn't have a written constitution. UK is all interpretation. The courts will interpret what is the spirit behind that constitution. But India has got a written constitution. And the written constitution should not become stale also. Till now we have done more than 120 amendments to the constitution to keep it live, keep it active, keep it moving forward. So the constitution that we got in 1950 is alive. The spirit is absolutely great, which is making sure every segment of our population, be it the last village of our country, which is near Kanyakumari, the last vast village in Tamil Nadu, in Kanyakumari, a place called Takkale, or if you go to Kashmir, the last village near the occupied Kashmir by the Pakistani, a place called Turtuk. If you go everywhere, democracy is up today. Everywhere there is a polling booth. Everywhere people go and vote. Leh Ladakh people vote. Even at minus 20 degrees, there is a polling booth. This time, 2024, there is a polling booth with a single voter. Only one voter. Still, the Election Commission made sure the polling booth was set up because we have a rule. The polling booth should be at a certain distance. The voters should not be asked to travel more than that. For one person, a polling booth was set up. He came and voted, 100% voting in that booth. So we have made efforts every time to improve the polling process. That is why in 1952, when the first election, Sukumar Senji, the first chief election commissioner of our country, he had a very, very tough task at hand. Because India is experimenting across the world. Very first time we said, 18 years, everybody is given vote. No other country, no major country in the world, day of independence, they gave vote to everybody. Cutting like New Zealand. They gave vote to women much, much later than the day they got independence. US in 1776, they had a concept called 3/5 compromise. Blacks and whites were there. They said 5 votes of a black person is counted as 3 votes of a white person. They said blacks are not equal to white. So they bring something called a 3/5 compromise. So 5 black votes will count as 3 white votes to prevent the South-North fight. India is possibly the only country, day one we said, educated, not educated, rural, urban. Whichever part of our country, everybody will have equal vote. That is one vote. If it is the Prime Minister of our country also, one vote. Laborer also one vote. And both the votes should be equal. And the net tally is, finally you do a tally and who wins the first past the post democracy, he will be an MP or MLA. We have to understand the spirit in which we came. And we purely trusted our citizens. Our constitution trusted our citizens, not the politicians, not the officers, not the election commission also. It trusted the citizens to make sure citizens will keep the spirit of this constitution alive. 1952, we all participated, one nation, one election. All of us voted together. All the assemblies won together, Lok Sabha together. That point of time, our constitution had only 489 MPs. We are only 489, right? We have 543. The rule is every 10 years, based on the population increase, we'll keep increasing the MP. From 489, in about 3 decades, we came to 543. 1957 election, again one nation, one election. All of us voted together. All the states together. Including 5 states, which the government got dissolved also, we made sure 1957, all the states in the country voted together. 1962, again the country and all the states voted together. 1967, the whole country voted together. So which means from 1952 to 1967, one nation, one election was part of our country. So the states did not have a separate timetable. The country did not have a separate timetable. 1969, the Congress government then, because of their internal fight, Madam Indira Gandhi one side and Kamaraj Raya and other people on the other side, the Congress party was split into 2, Congress O and Congress R. So that point of time, when Indira Gandhi took over power, she did, first thing she did is 1970 December. Then one fine day she came in All India Radio, she said, I am dissolving this parliament 15 months before it is actually due. So which is, the election is supposed to happen in 1972, but she dissolved the parliament in 1970 December. whereby we went for voting, which is 15 months before it is actual voting. First mistake happened then. 1968-69, there were 7 governments in our country, state governments, which were not Congress. Like Tamil Nadu, first time from Congress it shifted to DMK in 1967. Swatantra Party came to power in Orissa. Likewise, Bihar had a non-Congress government. So they dismissed many governments in 1968-69, saying that you are non-Congress. They found the reason, used 356, they dismissed it. So 1971, the first confusion started in our country, where the Lok Sabha happened in 1971. The assembly elections of many parts of our country happened in 1972. Some of the assemblies which got dismissed happened in 1971. From then onwards, emergency happened. During emergency, 9 more states where powers were dismissed, including Tamil Nadu. Then you know the story, which went on and on and on. So a lot of people made efforts over the years to bring it back to one nation, one election status. For example, the Election Commission. In its inaugural report in 1983, it said we have to go back to one nation, one election. 1983, that is the Election Commission's first annual report. Now, the Election Commission, every year they give an annual report. 1983, they said. 1990, the Law Commission, its 170th report. It said, no, we have to go back to one nation, one election, which is 1999, which is 170th report. The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Personal Public Grievance Law and Justice in 2015, it again made an attempt. We have to go back to one nation, one election. Let us go back. Niti Aayog in January 2017, Niti Aayog after the Planning Commission, after Narendra Modi ji became the Prime Minister when the Niti Aayog got formed, in 1917, it said, it titled a working paper, white paper to say, if the country goes through one nation, one election, what is the benefit to our country? So white paper was published. So we are seeing continuously this happening. Law Commission report in 2018, again it said we should go back to one nation, one elections. 2019, an all-party meeting was called by the Election Commission in which 19 parties attended. They were discussing the critical reforms in governance in 2019. 16 parties wanted one nation, one election. Parties like BJP, NCP, JVU, YSRCP, PJD, PRS, LJP, Shiromani Akali Dal, APNA, the All Jharkhand Students Union, 16 parties. 3 parties which came for that meeting in 2019, they did not want one nation, one election. Parties like Communist Party, RSP, AIMIM. So 3 parties in 2019 said no one nation, one election. 16 parties said we need one country, one election. So it is not nothing new that suddenly we are talking. 2014 and 2024 and 25. Not suddenly we are talking about one nation, one election. We are talking it from 1983. Because the historical distortion that happened in 1970-71, we are trying to get back to a single formation right in 52, 57, 67, 62, 67, how it happened, we want to go back. So likewise, the current government, the president of our country, she formulated a committee headed by a former president of our country, Ramnath Kovindji. Members were given, including the current Home Minister Amit Shah ji, as part of the committee. They were tasked to go around the country, talk to people, submit a report to say whether one nation, one election is possible. All political parties were called, they gave their opinion, public gave their opinion. So the president gave a report, the former president, which was tabled to the parliament. Now the parliament has got a committee headed by an MP, who is again through these meetings taking feedback, which is going through the committee, meeting the public to decide. So we have to understand it's a very democratic process. Even a student, a PhD student in IISc who is busy inventing the next big thing for our country, for our country's growth, even the voice of the IISc student should be heard. And that should be reflected through this meeting or whatever the consultative process through this NGO to reach the parliamentary committee. And any member, esteemed member who has got time today, walked into IISc, sitting in this auditorium, professor, who is not part of IISc also, their voice will also be heard. So it's a very democratic consultative mechanism that is happening across the country to make sure all of our voices should be heard before we make it a law and to decide when one nation, one election will start in our country. Now, there are, of course, many obvious benefits. One benefit straight away is, like Madam mentioned, like BBMP, Bangalore. Political parties doesn't want to conduct an election for BBMP because if BBMP elections happen, the current ruling party doesn't win. Then immediately people will say, oh, see the mood of the public. Mood of the public is against the ruling party. They want the opposition party to power. So ruling party doesn't want to take a risk. They are like, why should we conduct local body election? Like Tamil Nadu. Again, the local body elections terms are over from 2024. the government doesn't want to conduct elections because if the opposition parties come to power in local body, the government which is running the state will never replicate. So across the country, the story is local bodies like municipalities, which is important for you. Your MLA MPs are very important, sir, but more important is your council. Pothole, he has to get it right. Your lights, night time, he has to get it right, he or she. Sewage, garbage disposal, he or she has to get it right. So now the councillors are absent because the administrative officer is running the show in cities like Bangalore. Rain comes, water lots, you are not sure whom to complain. MP is overburdened, MLA is overburdened. The councillors who are supposed to do this work, they are not doing it. Not their fault, because of the fault in the way the elections are happening. So you want to rectify it. Second, in the last 5 years, which is how many days, sir? 365 days into 5, which is 1,825 days approximately. In 1,825 days in the 5 years, the model code of conduct was alone there for 500 days. Just imagine in a country which you want to grow, you want to beat China, you want to beat US, you want to become a $30 billion economy, 500 days only model code of conduct. Like madam said, you go to Tahsildar office, where is Tahsildar, sir? I have to change my patta. No, Tahsildar is busy revising the electoral roll. Okay, our children go to school, where is teacher? No, they are doing booth work. After election happens, if the hung assembly, government is not forming, other 15 days drama. So technically during election time, very clearly in every state, 3 months, the revenue officials are involved in voter revision, meeting people, getting new voter added. Our police friends are there. Just imagine the strain they have to go through. Political parties campaigning, give bandobas. Election happens, give bandobas. So 1 month of model code of conduct. The focus is not on change snatching. The focus is on implementing model code of conduct. The focus is not on taking care of the safety of women, but on implementing the model code of conduct because they come under the direct supervision of Election Commission of India. So they have to obey to the orders of Election Commission of India. So that madam was clearly saying is there is a governance deficit during the extended model code of conduct, which a country like us cannot afford at this point of time. That is the second argument we have. Third argument, the elections in India are the most costliest elections. The Center for Media Studies said 2024 elections, if you look at it, it costed overall, unofficial figure, because no election candidates will come and say, no, I spent 40 crore in Bangalore. No, I only spent 50 crore. Everybody will say, no, this is Election Commission limit. I spend only that limit. But when Center for Media Studies went around the country to see how much the candidates actually overspending also, they calculated during the 2024 Lok Sabha election alone, the candidates have spent a combined total of 1,35,000 crore rupee, which is way above. It is 543 MP. If you add all candidates, there is a minimum limit that is fixed. 1,35,000 crore. This is the Center for Media Studies report. Now, this much money comes in. Black money becomes white money becomes black. Money flows through. Freebies announcement one side, cash one side. Everybody is focused on catching that money. So imagine a country going through this 7 times in a year, because we do about 7 elections average in a year. Lok Sabha happens. There was a hotelier from Bangalore, friend was mentioning, sir, how many elections you will conduct in Bangalore alone? You conducted 1 MP, fine. Then you conducted 1 assembly election, that is also fine. Then you conducted an MLC election called Graduates Constituency, that also you conducted. Then you want to conduct a municipal corporation election. Every time you want to say, so how will you do business? Every time you close the bar 4 days, you open the bar 4 days, close the bar 4 days. We shut down establishment 4 days, 3 days. So there are also practical problems. When you add all the elections, it is like this. That is why in the Ramnath Govind sir's committee report, they mentioned, they calculated an economic calculation. They said, if a country goes through one nation, one election, straight away the GDP improves by 1.5%. 1.5% to the country is 4,50,000 crore. So that is literally like the health budget of the country. So 4,50,000 crore is the net economic output, a positive economic output because of one nation election. He has given a point again, there are studies to back, 4.5 lakh really accrues, it will happen. And if you look at the expenses of Election Commission, elections are not jokes, sir. The expenses of Election Commission, 2019 Lok Sabha, the Election Commission spent 6,500 crore to conduct election. First election, 1952, we spent 10 crore. First election, 10 crore. 2019, we spent 6,500 crore. So 2024 data is not yet out as per the annual report, but it should have cost 10,000 crore. This is the official figure. Election Commission has spent to conduct election. Forget about the 1,35,000 crore, the unofficial figure, the candidates have spent. So overall, not only is a net positive addition, but also minus government wasteful expenditure we are taking care. This is also another part. So that is why there is a strong voice on the other side to say, one nation, one election is going to benefit us politically, going to benefit us economically, going to benefit us socially. So that this country's development pathway will not get disturbed, we keep going in the front. The negatives. Now, if you go and ask a chief minister, they will say, Yenappa, nare kastapattu ninne electai bandidini. You want to bring one nation, one election. Now, 5 varsha irona, aramagi irona and bandidini, one nation, one election market. So their argument is, where when you put the cutoff? There is a DMK government in Tamil Nadu, Congress government in Karnataka, different governments in different parts of our country. So where when you keep the cutoff, who will decide the cutoff? If we say 2028 one nation, one election, 2030 one nation, one election, so ನನ್ನ ಸರ್ಕಾರಕ್ಕೂ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ 3 ವರ್ಷ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, which is a valid argument. That is why in the Ramnath Govindji's committee report, they said, look, what we are proposing to the parliament is, this Lok Sabha, where we elected our MPs and the Honorable Prime Minister, 2024 has to end in 2029. So 2029, puna on the election after that. So that Lok Sabha has to go till 2034. So Ramnath Govindji's suggestion, the committee suggestion to the parliament is, let us not disturb this Lok Sabha. Let us not disturb the next Lok Sabha. So let us not disturb 2029, let us not disturb 2034. 2034 ನಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗುವ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಇಡೀ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ one nation, one election. So that no political party will say, ನನಗೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು, ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಯೂತ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ವಾಚಿಂಗ್ ಸರ್ 2034 ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಸರ್ ಇವತ್ತು ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ, ಇಯರ್ ಇನ್ 2024 9 ವರ್ಷ ಇದೆ. So you are speaking now about 2034, but this is a suggestion. It is for the parliament to accept it, not to accept it. People might give a different suggestion. The committee of MPs then finally bring it to the parliament to say, no, we want to bring it earlier, we want to bring it now. But the suggestion of the honorable former president of our country is, don't disturb this Lok Sabha, don't disturb next Lok Sabha. So Karnataka, if you implement one nation, one election, what will happen? The current government, if it survives, till 2028, they'll be in power. So 2028 ನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೊಸ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. So that will be in power till 2033. So 2033 ದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುವ ಸರ್ಕಾರ will have power for only 1 year. Because 2034 ಎಲ್ಲ dissolve ಆಗಿ everybody has to go to one nation, one election. Like Tamil Nadu, 2026 new election. Our government will be there in 2031. So that government has to get dissolved by 2033. ಸೊ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಯಾರನ್ನ ಆಪೋಸಿಷನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೋ ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಉತ್ತರವೇನು? ಸೊ ಯಾರಕ್ಕೂ ನಾವು ತೊಂದರೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ವಿ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಯುವರ್ ಟರ್ಮ್, ವಿ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಟರ್ಮ್, ವಿ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ DMK ಟರ್ಮ್, ವಿ ಆರ್ ಅಲೋಯಿಂಗ್ ದಿಸ್ ಟರ್ಮ್, ವಿ ಆರ್ ಅಲೋಯಿಂಗ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ 2034 ಒನ್ ನೇಷನ್. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇನ್ ಅ ಡೆಮೋಕ್ರಸಿ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಮೇಕ್ ಎ ಡೆಸಿಷನ್ ವೆರ್ ಎವ್ರಿಬಡಿ ಇಸ್. ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದಿ ಬ್ಯೂಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಡೆಮೋಕ್ರಸಿ. ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಒನ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಸಜೆಷನ್. ದೆನ್ ಮೆನಿ ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಟೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ವಾಯ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ದರ್ ಒಪಿನಿಯನ್, ನಾವು ರೀಜನಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತದೆ. One nation, one election will make sure only national parties will come to power. National party ಮಾತ್ರ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದಲ್ಲ, regional party ಬೇಕು. This is a lot of people's opinion, including regional parties chief. Now one nation, one election will make only national party. How will somebody talk about North Karnataka? How will somebody talking about rising Tamil Nadu? So all the regional parties can only talk. National parties will talk national issue. Now we have to understand again, the voter is so intelligent now. 1967, when we are doing one nation, one election across our country at point of time also, first time 7 governments which are non-Congress came to power in 1967. It was a one nation, one election. The people did not vote for Congress. 7 assemblies, they said, okay, nama Congress vera, nama bear kodi. So we have history. Second, we have to understand, now the regional party which is in a region wise or a national party which is nationally, the voters are so mature to decide, ನನ್ನ ರಾಜ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾರು ಬೇಕು, ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾರು ಬೇಕು. ರಾಜ್ಯಕ್ಕೂ ದೇಶಕ್ಕೂ ಒಬ್ಬರೇ ಬೇಕಾ, ರಾಜ್ಯಕ್ಕೂ ದೇಶಕ್ಕೂ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇಕಾ, ನನ್ನ ರಾಜ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಇವರು ಬೇಕು, ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಅವರು ಬೇಕಾ. ಸೊ ವೋಟರ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಸೋ ಮೆಚೋರ್ಡ್ They are not going to blindly close their eyes to say, first button press ಮಾಡಿ but outside ಬಂದ್ ಬಿಡೋಣ, because it is their mind. And our voters are so matured, they both decide, they analyze candidates vote ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾ, ಪಾರ್ಟಿಗೆ vote ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾ, ಸಿದ್ಧಾಂತಕ್ಕೆ vote ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾ, ಅಷ್ಟು ಡೀಟೇಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡಿ vote ಮಾಡಿ. So this is also a bogus claim to say regional parties will vanish, only national parties will be in power. Because if you look at Andhra, the recently concluded Andhra, same day assembly election, same day Lok Sabha election, both happened on the same day. But who won? A regional party won here. Of course, the national party was in alliance, but the other national party was on the opposite side, and the national party came to power. Again, Orissa. So many states, as we see, now governance is becoming an important consideration for voting, not necessarily a regional or national party. Next, ಜನಕ್ಕೂ ಒಂದೇ ಸಾರಿ ವೋಟಿಂಗ್ ಕೊಡುವಾಗ ವೋಟಿಂಗ್ ಪರ್ಸೆಂಟೇಜ್ ಡ್ರಾಪ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ರಜಾ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಹೊರಟಿರ್ತಾರೆ. Like Bangalore is notorious, Chennai is notorious, because the voting percentage doesn't cross 50. Chennai is also notorious. Like some constituencies like T-Nagar is at 40%. Some constituencies within Bangalore are still worse than 50. So the next argument is, ಏನಪ್ಪ ಇಷ್ಟು ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗಲೇ ಜನ ವೋಟ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ, if you make one time, one nation, one election, ಎಲ್ಲ ರಜಾ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. So that is also another point. Again, to disprove that theory, to prove that it is a false theory. If we look at a state where Lok Sabha happened, assembly happened, what is their voting? If we take Tamil Nadu 2014, we had parliament election, which is 73.7. 2016 assembly, 73.6. 2019 parliament, 73.3. 2021 assembly, 76.6. It is almost maintaining the same ratio. Andhra, 78.9 for parliament, because Andhra happens together. 78.7 parliament assembly, this time 81.6%. First time it crossed 80. Karnataka is a very beautiful case, because here the election happens 1 year before, 1 year after. Karnataka is a state where assembly is 1 year before, Lok Sabha is 1 year later. So 2013 assembly, Karnataka was 71.8, but Lok Sabha 67.2, 4% drop. 2018 Karnataka assembly 73.4, but Lok Sabha 71, 2% drop. 2023 assembly Karnataka 73.2, 2024 Lok Sabha 70%. So Karnataka is like, people vote 3% more to assembly, people vote 3% less to Lok Sabha. So people decide what is important to me, what is not important to me. There are statistics to prove. Together you keep election, more voting percentage will happen. You keep voting one after the other, people vote lesser in Lok Sabha. So in this argument, the voting percentage can only go up rather than coming down. I'm only taking 3 states for argument purpose so that you can connect to Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and Andhra. Only 3 neighboring states I've taken. The next argument some of our friends will keep saying this is, one nation, one election. The moment it comes, it will bring in some kind of a dictatorship attitude. Because once the party wins power, for 5 years they will not listen to us. Then 4th year they will come and say, ದೇವಂದ್ರೆ ತಾಯಿಯವರೇ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಾಲು ತೋರಿಸಿ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕೈ ತೋರಿಸಿ, ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಮನೆಗೆ. ಆ ಥರ ಇವಾಗಲೇ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು 2 ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೊಮ್ಮೆ ಯಾರೊಬ್ಬರು ಮನೆಗೆ ಬಂದು ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಹೇಳಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. At least 2 years once somebody will come for assembly, 2 years once somebody will come for Lok Sabha, somebody will come for councillor. ನೀವು ಒಂದೇ ಸಾರಿ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದನ್ನ ಯಾರು ನಮಗೆ ಸಿಕ್ಕಲ್ಲ, ನಾವು 4 ವರ್ಷ 6 ನಿಮಿಷಕ್ಕೆ ಸಿಗ್ತಾರೆ. I am breaking it, but people say it is like that. Now we have to understand in that argument unaccountability of politicians. Now ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರಬೇಕು, ನಾವು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ 2023 ಬರಬೇಕು, 24 ಬರಬೇಕು, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಲೋಕಲ್ ಬಾಡಿಗೆ ಬರಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಎವ್ರಿ ಇಯರ್ ಪೊಲಿಟಿಷಿಯನ್ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ, ಲೋಕಲ್ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಟಿವ್ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ. Here is like it, but we have to understand 50 to 57, 60 to 67, it is working well. We have to understand the politicians have become bad, the political system has then become bad. So now it is important that we bring better politicians. That is important. People like you who are here, madam was studying, you should aspire to get into a career in politics, bring accountability to politics. Not by changing time, people will become accountable. ಅವತ್ತವರು ಬಂತು ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗುವಾಗ 3 ತಿಂಗಳಿಗೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ಹೋಗಿ, ಅಮ್ಮ ನಾನು ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿರುವ ಸೋಗದರ, ನಾನು ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ಊಟ ಕೊಡಿ ಅಮ್ಮ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಹೊಸದಾಗಿ ಪ್ರಚಾರ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಆಲ್ ದಿಸ್ ಡ್ರಾಮಾ ವಿ ಸಿ ಡ್ಯೂರಿಂಗ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಟೈಮ್. That is because a certain nature of politicians have come inside. That is a systemic problem, not a problem of timing. So I am very, very confident when the democracy is maturing, when young people can take a risk in politics. Right now, none of us can take a risk in politics. So costly. 1,35,000 ಕೋಟಿ ಖರ್ಚು ಮಾಡಿ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು 45 ಕೋಟಿ ಖರ್ಚು ಮಾಡಿ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ನಿಲ್ಲುವುದು. So all of you are very clear. When you become financially okay, when you become the process is okay, the process is transparent. A lot of people from middle class, a lot of people from educated background, you can look at an aspirational career in politics. The day will come when you can simply come and stand in politics. Right now, it is impossible for a common man to just come and stand in politics and win an election. It is almost impossible. But people have broken it. There is an inspirational example of Annamalai ji. Without any background, people have come, broken, won it 7 times, madam. 6 times, one continuous MP of the Bangalore South constituency. Architects, MSCs, highest world MCs, some very powerful cabinet minister positions, served Bangalore well, served India well. So they are very inspiring examples. At the same time, we are also seeing certain constituencies are only captured by dynastic parties. Father, son, grandson, continuously for the last 50 years. It hasn't moved out of a family. So there are pluses, there are minuses. But as we mature, I'm very confident, as per my personal opinion, that you can come and make a mark as a common man when the funding becomes transparent, when there is no black money, everything becomes accounted. Election Commission is given more powers to disqualify somebody for doing one fault. That is a systemic problem. But bringing that to say it is one nation, one election, because of this will come, that will come, I don't think it will cut ice. So ladies and gentlemen, friends who have assembled here, so whichever argument we look at it, a financial angle, a political angle, every single argument will point out to a fact that this country needs one nation, one election, not only for its immediate growth, but also for a good growth in the long term, for keeping our democracy matured and stable, for making sure normal, common and middle class guy can come inside, aspire a career in politics, serve our country, and more importantly, very importantly, when a country with so much young people getting impatient with the progress of democracy, just want things to get faster, they will start believing, okay, I am making it accountable, I am giving my vote every 5 years, you better behave in a proper way and get things done. So that people don't, again, freebies, I'm not getting into it. Right now, every year, the freebies alone in our country, it is more than 11,000 lakh crore. Freebies alone. In Karnataka, right now, I'm seeing in the TV, one MLA going and saying, road beka, neer feka, neeve decide mad. Nammali duddilla. I'm seeing this at TV. There's an MLA who is saying, neeve decide madappa now, duddilla, nee free helidina, free kottidini. If free beku, road bekana, adalla swami. Road geku and free beku. We are seeing all this kind of people seeking all this nonsense. But who will ask them, the pave promise madidira, now yaru bandu free bee kodinigalla, neeve kottidine helidira, neeve kodi, road kodi, namak hospital kodi, health kodi, ella kodi. Now, probably we'll get into a more accountable period because it is 5 years, it will cut through. Horse trading will also come down because even a new government coming up to this collapse. Okay, just to add one more point, the critics say, okay, one nation election, 2034, fine, Karnataka ಹೊಸ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಬಂದಿತ್ತು. ಒಂದು ಪಾರ್ಟ್ನರ್ 2036 ನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೊರಟೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಫಾಲ್. ಸೊ ಪುನಃ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಏನು ಪ್ರಯೋಜನ? And Ramnath Govindji's committee has addressed this also. Halfway through a term, if the government collapses, if the new election happens, that government's term is only for the remainder of 5 years. If 2036 collapses, then the new government has to be very clear. ತಾವು ಮತ ಹಾಕುವುದು 3 ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾತ್ರ, 2039 ಹೊಸ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಕೇಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ. Because there is no perfect answer, but we have to go towards a perfect answer to say, we will continue to maintain one nation, one election every 5 years once. At the same time, the government falling has come down now. If you look at 1980, 1990, more governments were falling. 2000, they started coming down. 2020 onwards, if you look at 2015 onwards, the rate of government falling has come down. No government is collapsing. It is becoming more mature. I don't think that is also a problem. Now, I humbly request you, because a lot of things are going to happen. One, from 543, the seats have to go up. Now, the government has announced census. Census will happen in phases. And all the census data comes, then immediately from 543 MP, it has to jump up. We are not sure whether it is 800, we are not sure it is 850, 900, nobody knows the number. It will come based on the national population, one. Second, the government has promised 1/3 reservation to our sisters and mothers. So 1/3 reservation has go to women. And that they have said, it is not for 543. After the census, after the increase in MP and MLA, in that one-third will go to women. So that we have to implement. Then we have to implement one nation, one election. All three we have to do it. So next 5 years, our nation as a democracy, we have to go through this. We have to go through a census. And second, Bangalore, with the population now. Right now we have 3 seats. There is Bangalore Central, there is Bangalore North, there is Bangalore South. But how it is based on 3 seats? This is based on 1971 population data. 1971, what was Bangalore's population? Very less. The rural population of Karnataka was very high. Right now, Bangalore is touching about 3 crore. It's the big city. Now, in the new delimitation, for example, taking the state of Karnataka as an example, Bangalore might have more number of MPs sent. Because if we go by population, the rural place might have 1 MP. But Bangalore cannot have 3. Bangalore might have to have 5, 6 or 7. I don't know the number. Because the population is so huge. For about 10 crore population, for about 1 crore population, we can't have 1 MP. So 100% Bangalore's MP is going to go up. That is a common sense answer. How much we don't know based on the number. So Karnataka state right now is about 44% urban. Tamil Nadu is about 50% urban. So which means 50% of MP seats in Tamil Nadu will be urban and 50 seats will be rural. Right now, 85% of seats is rural, 15% is urban. So based on the census, there is a large scale change that is going to happen. That is why you're blaming now. What is Bangalore? We are paying so much tax. Startup. We are the best city in the country. All people are saying. But you are not putting potholes. You are not putting this. You are delaying a metro line. So now, for the first time, the governments might shift towards the urban because your voices will be here post delimitation. Out of 543 MPs in the Lok Sabha, if you properly analyze, 85% are rural, only 15% are urban. So post the delimitation, the new set of MPs, it will have more urban tilt. So urban people are living here. You will have a different problem. The rural population will have a different problem. That is why delimitation has to happen. More MPs have to come, very clear. In the increased number, 1/3 our women has to get. Now the question is, which 1/3 they will get? Is it a lottery system? All of us will put on lottery and say, okay, Bangalore North banditu women, Bangalore South banditu not women, Bangalore Central banditu women. We don't know. Again, for which a mechanism has to be developed. So which 1/3 is women? Because right now, the women voters in our country are slightly more than the male voters of our country. Like Tamil Nadu is 50.8, 50.2. So out of 100 voters in the state of Tamil Nadu, it's 50.8 who are women, 50.2 are men. So this country is shifting towards women population. That's very clear. Next, many states are having declining population, like Tamil Nadu. Our total fertility ratio is 1.7. Like every woman is giving birth to 1.7 children. But technically, the TFR of a country should be at 2.1. So every woman should give birth to 2.1 children. Only then the birth and the death rate is stabilized. Like China, 141 crore. China for the very first time had a decline in population last year. The China started declining. China will start coming down. Like within our country, Tamil Nadu's population will start declining by 2035. Because Tamil Nadu is at 1.7. UP is at 2.7. So UP's population will continue to go up and then it will start declining. Like Karnataka is also below 2.1. So now these changes have to be incorporated. That is a democratic thing where all of us have to talk. Within a state, within a district, in urban, rural, the population rise, population down. That also the census have to happen. So the reason for having this is to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, sirs and madams, democracy is complex and no decision can be taken just like that. And we citizens, we got to debate, discuss, ideate, apply our mind and take a decision very carefully, very minutely. How many MP seats, how many urban seats, how many rural seats, in which seat it will go to women, which seat it will be a general constituency. So 2025 to 2029 is a very important phase in our country where all the 3 things are going to happen. One nation, one election. Bill is going to come. 1/3 reservation is going to come. Delimitation based on which new constitution. It's very clear. Very clear. The constitution is very clear. After you announce a census, the next parliament election that happens should be based on census. So it's very clear. 2029 parliament election will be based on census, and Bangalore will have more than 3 MPs is very clear, vastly. And 2020 election will not have 543. It will have more than 543 is also very clear, because Constitution says once you do a census in the 10-year period, the next election that happens have to reflect the census. So this 4 year is important for all of us. That is why this wonderful meeting all of us have assembled to discuss viewpoints, right, wrong, economic, political, social level, declining fertility, increasing fertility, and to decide male, woman, how overall the country can progress going forward. So with this, we have conducted 400 elections from 1952, 400 elections from 1952. This country has conducted 400 elections well. And nowhere in the world, a major country must have done 400 elections, because we run elections at multiple peaks. So we are a very mature democracy. If anybody has got a chance to come to Tamil Nadu in the near future, from Chennai, if you take a 1 hour car or a bus, you go to a place called Kanchipuram. Kanchipuram, the very famous temple, you can go. But near Kanchipuram, there is a village called Uttaramerung. And just for academic sake, next time when you come to Chennai, just go to Uttaramerung. There is a Chola temple, which is built in 10th century. If you go to the temple, in the temple outside, there are inscriptions to say how an election should be conducted, how a candidate should be selected, and how a candidate should be disqualified. So 10th century, which we have written inscriptions in that particular village, the Chola kings, for a village council election, it will be very interesting. You go and see how a candidate is disqualified. They are given 5 reasons. You steal somebody's wife, you are disqualified. You don't understand the 4 Vedas properly, you are disqualified. It will be very interesting. 10th century, how they were thinking. So our country is not only the world's largest democracy, it's also the world's democracy with depth. So for 10 centuries, we have done democracy in some way or the other. Maybe it is not a perfect way. Not everybody who seems to know Veda. And also disqualification, selection of candidate. They had something called Kudavole method, which means the whole village will assemble. First, they will select eligible candidates among the village. He should not have criminal case. He should have cattle with them. He should not be a slave, so that the candidate comes. And then they put all the names inside in Tamil we call Kudam. It is a small vessel. And then the village priest will come and shake that vessel. And then you put your hand, you take one lottery system, that is candidate number 1. So they have a very elaborate mechanism. Probably our Prime Minister keeps talking about this Kudavasal inscription in multiple Man Ki Baat and multiple places. Even in UN he spoke about it. How India is not only the world's largest democracy, it's the mother of all democracy. So we are absolutely certain and confident with our election commission, political parties, parliament, Supreme Court. So the next 4 years, we will have a pakka process, robust process. By 2021, we are all set to have more number of sisters and mothers inside parliament. And we are all set to have more number of constituencies. And probably we are also ready for the one nation, one election whenever it happens. Right now it is 2034, that is the proposal, whenever it happens. So thank you so much. So these are the broad spectrum that we have to look at this. I'm sure I will be a face and point and partnership.